I'm close to 70 now. You know, that you hear guys all the time talk about hunt of a lifetime. Well, that was a hunt of a lifetime because I'd been at this for 54 years before getting to shoot a deer like that. And when young guys say they've had a hunt of a lifetime, I always chuckle when I see that. You haven't lived long enough to have a hunt of a lifetime yet, but I know what they're getting at, though. There's just some special hunts in life, and you may only get 1 or 2, 3 in your entire lifetime. Immediately, that hunt, I called it hunting for expectation.
Montana Full Circle is brought to you by Buffalo Bore Ammunition, Strictly Business, Leupold Optics, Slumberjack, CVA, Bergara, Bogpod, Caldwell, Tipton, Nanook, Heat Factory, Chef's Choice, Pete Ryer, Zenick, Western Wall Tents, Bitterroot Brewing, and Montana Department of Agriculture reminds you to educate yourself on the harmful effects of noxious weeds.
There's a lot of general mule deer units in Montana, but there's a few special units that you can draw for big muley bucks. Like a once-in-a-lifetime draw in a unit like this, you have to search all season to find that good buck that you're going to be happy with to put your tag on. And when the rut starts, those animals are running all over. You can go to a spot that you were at 3 or 4 times before, and a monster could have shown up. So it really is a difficult hunt, and to make that decision on the animal that you're going to have on your wall the rest of your life, it's one of those that it's not the easiest decision to make. It just so happened I was up in that same mule deer unit filming a sheep hunt and came across the hunter, Rick Peacock, who had that special mule deer tag, and asked if I could tag along with him.
My son-in-law and I put in together, and when we got that drawback that it was successful, that was a thrill, because I've never had that type of a special tag before. My son-in-law, he ended up getting we haven't scored it yet, but it's a Pope and Young muley down on private land, and then I did the rifle hunt up in public land. It was I saw so many nice deer right off the bat. Probably the biggest buck I saw was the first day, way up in the high country, and it would have been I could have got it with my bow, but I didn't want the hunt to end. I was having so much fun. Every day you'd see 3, 4, 5, 6 nice bucks, and all total, just on public land, saw 58. That's not counting spikes and forked horns. Just good racked animals. It was an incredible hunt.
After getting to know Rick for a little while, I found out he actually bleaches skulls for a living, and we were able to catch up with him and see some of the animals that were harvested this past season.
Oh, I've been bleaching skulls for 20 years, mostly for myself and friends and hunting partners, and then occasionally for other people, but then I got my taxidermy license, and so now I do about 100 a year. I'll get up to about 200. I don't want too much more than that, because then it's a job. This is I call it my old man retirement job. I was a pastor for years, and then when I turned the ministry over at Big Sky Baptist Church to a younger man, then I started doing this even more full time. Well, when they come in real nasty, almost right off the bat, I'll power wash them. Most of the time, the skulls haven't even been cleaned, and so I've got to, even on a fresh skull, I'll have to cut off as much of that flesh as possible and hide. Good thing you can't smell this. It's been froze though most of the winter.
Yeah.
And it was harvested this fall, and it's, what is this? This is March. Well, I've seen worse, but yeah. It's pretty potent. It's potent. Boy, you can have your bag back. I'll soak him with some soapy water. That helps a little to keep the smell down. Start a boiling process 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, depending on the species. A lot of them, the last 2 wolves I did had a lot of oil in the bone. Took quite a while to get that cleaned out. And bears take a little bit more effort too to get the oil out. Then of course the bleaching, and you got to use the proper bleaches so you don't ruin the bone. You don't use normal household bleach, that isn't good for them. And it costs a bit more and everything, but it does a lot nicer job. This particular head is a doll sheep from Alaska, a fellow that lived up there for 25 plus years. He wanted this put on a cutout of Alaska, this doll sheep, to put in his new house. So that should look pretty good for him. Andy, this is that buck that you brought that was that stinky mess that I think you filmed a little bit on. It turned out pretty clean. I was surprised. But anyway, it smells a lot better now, and it looks a lot better than it did. Anyway, I appreciate getting to do these.
Buffalo bore ammunition is premium grade ammunition. It is the most powerful and accurate ammunition made anywhere. Our loads are purpose designed. When the moment of need arises, you are prepared. We make the world's best self-defense pistol ammunition as well as hunting ammunition. Find us at your local retailer or factory direct at buffalobore.com.
Like every hunt, it's the hunt, it's the pursuit. I had the good fortune that when I turned the pastoral ministry over to that younger guy, I had a 90-day sabbatical. Well, it just happened to hit in hunting season. And so I could camp and hunt hard, and got snowed on, rained on, hot. I went through every kind of hunting temperature that there was, and had some real quality hunts.
After running around with Rick for a little while, we saw a pretty nice buck up on the hill, and we were just really trying to size him up. If y'all have ever hunted mule deer, you know they're not the easiest animals to judge.
To try to judge them when they're putting on a display like that, he was in his prime. He's one of those bucks that he's not ancient, but yet he's just putting on super horns. And I don't know. I was looking at him thinking, he's just big. There was 1 or 2 others that would have matched him probably in score, but he has that perfect typical frame. Hardly any deductions except for a 4-inch and a 2-inch and a 1-inch kickers, and hardly any other deductions aside from his kickers. I tend to like them all non-typical, kind of all rasty. He put on a real show, and we were getting a little bit of rain just like we are now. And so of course it makes for, you know, good crisp colors in the fall like that, in the late fall. And it was gorgeous watching him rake that tree and working into position, and the other bucks working around him. It was just classic. And it's hard to shoot them when they're in that type of a setting. You just want to keep watching. But that's why I finally said, let's get her done. But it was getting towards the end of the season, and a lot of those deer were coming down into private land. And, you know, I didn't want to hunt private land. I wanted to hunt up in the public. I just like the freedom of that. Yeah.
The season was winding down, and Rick wasn't sure if he wanted to take this buck. He thought it was one of the biggest bucks he'd seen this season. But in that time crunch like that, decisions kind of get made for you sometimes.
Boy, we're looking at this big old buck, and I'm going, oh man, what do I do? Because I didn't want this hunt to end.
Nice. Well, your hunt's over.
Now we can go elk hunting.
Americans, we're about doing, not talking. Find American boots on the ground, and you'll find us too. Loophole, American to the core.
That was 54 years of looking for a trophy. And in all those 54 years, never had special draws. I saw some bucks that were close to as big as him, but just glimpses, you know. Couldn't even come close to getting them.
Good job.
Hey, that's good, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, my father-in-law, you know, you have to be good to your father-in-law, they say, so keep the family happy. But I think he's going to be, honestly, I think he's going to be in the 180s. He's
I hope so.
He's got crazy deep forks here. He's got a nice deep fork there. He's got kicker, you know, a 4-inch kicker or 3-inch kicker coming off this side. What do you got, a 1-inch
That's
kicker
about
on
inch
that
and a
side,
half
but
over here.
Yeah, good buck.
Yeah, he's got character. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I've been at this for over 50 years. And this is the biggest one. I took the buck up to Boone and Crockett in Missoula, which is really handy. It's beautiful, beautiful office there. I was hoping for 200, but not quite. He didn't quite make it, but I wasn't gonna complain. He made it. He made the book. It's the only book animal I've ever taken, of course. In fact, when I scored it, I come within about 1 point of being the same as the official score. But the main beam length and tine length, because this buck scores so well, just because he's so even, and he has such good tine length. Now, of course, his deductions, there's a 4-inch deduction on this side, and this was about a 2-inch. And then this one right here was a 1-inch deduction. Anyway, because he had good eye guards and good beam length, he scores quite well, even though he's not massively heavy buck. He was probably right in his prime. I always enjoy caping him out too. It's just one more part of the hunt, which I enjoy. The more things you can do on a hunt, the more you remember it. You know, instead of having other people even do it. I just like doing it all. I like gutting them. I like getting them out, the whole thing. It's all just as much a part of the hunt as pulling the trigger to me. It was a real thrill, just a thrill to finally get one this big.
Hunting is one of those things where you never know who you're going to meet or where you're going to meet them, and it's just neat getting in the mountains, finding a fellow hunter like that who loves the animals as much as I do, and to be able to follow him on one of his once-in-a-lifetime hunts. It's just amazing.
It was the quality of the hunt more than anything. You know, the trophy is important to me, really important, but yet it was that getting to just be out there, you know, in all those different weather settings and by yourself a lot, you know, spending many nights up there all by myself. And the way it worked out where I had that 3-month sabbatical during hunting season, it don't get any better than that. I was just supposed to disappear for 3 months, and that's what I did. It was good. It was good.
Montana Full Circle is brought to you by Buffalo Bore Ammunition, Strictly Business, Leupold Optics, Slumberjack, CVA, Bergara, Bog Pod, Caldwell, Tipton, Nanook, Heat Factory, Chef's Choice, Pete Ryer, Zenick, Western Wall Tents, Bitterroot Brewing, and Montana Department of Agriculture reminds you to educate yourself on the harmful effects of noxious weeds.